Welcome to The C.L.I.M.B. It's a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. As a matter of fact, that's literally what the C.L.I.M.B means. It's an acronym that stands for Creating Leverage in the Music Business. Let me introduce you to my co-host, my good friend, and hit songwriter, Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And what I like is Brent helps singers and songwriters turn pro by teaching the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. And you can find Brent at manversusrow.com or songwritingpro.com. I made a rhyme just in time. I'm a poet. I didn't know it.
Hey, and I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. It's an innovative artist development company. They help you find your sound, and they help you find your audience. Not only do they develop and improve your artistry, they also grow and monetize your fan base, creating cash flow, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Daredevil's worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S's up in here. Hey, Johnny, how's it going?
How you doing, brother? What's going on, man?
Feeling froggy.
Feeling a little froggy?
Froggy. Too much caffeine or not enough?
Did you see the post I just put up about one of my buddies who's a vocal coach to the stars? How to get rid of that frog in your throat, and it's a post on my Facebook today.
Yeah, see, it's all working together. The universe is conspiring.
It's all about that. That's right. That's right. That's right. So, man, we are going to get into some cool stuff today. You have got a wealth of information to share with us. 10 reasons songwriters should pitch their own songs.
That's right. We'll see how much of this we get through. It might be a two-parter. We do those lately. So, yeah.
Well, it's because we got a lot of good stuff to share.
I know. We're just in no hurry. We want you to come back and subscribe. If you
That's right. Yeah. By the way, let's hit that really quick. First of all, another month of double-digit percentage growth, which is in the downloads, which is awesome. So that means everybody's liking it and everybody's sharing it. So please continue to share. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on theclimbshow.com. And comment. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear, things you want to learn about. Hit us up. Hit us up on the email address. You can hit me at info@daredevilproduction.com, and I'll pass it on to Brent. Yep. And do leave a rating and a review on iTunes. Take 20 seconds out of your life and let some other people know, because when they find it and they run across it on iTunes, they want to know what's this all about. And your comments help sort of pave that way. So thank you for the people who have left comments. And with that, Brent, I hand the conch to you, sir.
Thank you. And as soon as I find out what conch is, I'll figure out whether or not I actually want to take it from you. Afraid to touch it. All right, so tonight we got 10 reasons why songwriters should pitch their own songs. We're getting a little too comfortable with each other. All right. So when I signed my first publishing deal, it was Major Bob Music, and I moved to town. I was writing songs, and I finally got the love, right? Got a publishing deal. Somebody wanted to pay me to write for them. They had staff. They had song pluggers. So I signed that deal, and I thought, man, this is great. And I just get to sit in my writer's room, drink some of their coffee, write songs every day, and let their 3 song pluggers go out, pitch my songs, and get them cut, right?
That's what you got it made.
Exactly.
Just kick back,
I just got to do what I
write songs, have a nice tea.
I know. Have a little cappuccino or something. Mm-hmm. Well, that was a mistake. And it wasn't that Mike, Scott, and Jesse weren't hardworking, smart guys that really wanted me to succeed, because those guys are all smart, hardworking, and they worked hard for all their writers. The mistake was that I was sitting back and not, pitching my own songs. And so I was missing out of the first couple of years of that deal. I was missing out on the benefits of pitching my own songs. And so that's what I want to talk about tonight, like the reasons why you should be pitching your own songs. What are some of the benefits of that? What are you missing out on if you're not pitching your own songs? So this is for, the writer that's independent in town. Are you waiting for a publisher to come along before you start trying to pitch your own songs? And it's also for the person on their first or second publishing deal that is tempted to sit back and go, I got it made. I get to kick back, drink their coffee, and let them work my catalog. So we're here to save you from some of the mistakes I made for the first couple of years.
I love this, and I want to add a side note.
Yes.
This is knock, knock, knock. This is opportunity dressed up, looks like, smells like work, dressed up in overalls and a dirty shirt. This is true of songwriters, and Brent's about to dig down deep into why this makes sense. And guess what? Indie artists, when you think you get that record deal and you think you got it made, no, your work has just started.
Exactly.
So you can never stop working. You can only work harder. And he's about to tell you why.
Yep.
Number one.
All right. Well, first thing, pitching doesn't come naturally to most songwriters. Okay, most of us are not geared that way.
Feels a little braggadocious, maybe.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of reasons. I think for one thing, it feels kind of tainted. Like I'm all pure. I'm all about the art, man. I sit in my room and I sit behind my guitar and I make art. I moved here for the art and not for the networking and the smoozing, right?
That's right. And indie artists feel the same way about marketing. That's why they don't want to market themselves. I get it. It's a natural.
My dream wasn't to grow up and be, a
sales guy.
A sales guy for my music. Right.
Yeah.
So, it's like I moved to town not thinking about I can't wait to pimp my songs. No, it was like I can't wait to write songs. And I wanted cuts, but I wasn't thinking about I can't wait to go out and meet this person, meet that person, and all that stuff. So it can feel kind of tainted, like it taints the art a little bit, or it's not genuine. It's disingenuous. So there's part of that. And sometimes it's just a matter of the writer doesn't think about it. They think my job is to write songs. I've said that before. My job is to write songs. Well, that's not true. My job is to help make money with my songs. So some writers just get too busy writing songs and they just don't think about pitching. They're not, they don't have a negative feeling of it. They just don't think about it at all.
Yeah.
And we're here to change that. And then also, I think part of it is just the straight up fear of rejection. It's uncomfortable to go make those phone calls where you may not even get the meeting. And then if you get the meeting, you got to figure out what songs you want to take, all that stress, who's looking. Then you go in and you sit across his desk from somebody, and then you hope they're going to change your life for the better. And most of the time they don't. And you're afraid that they're going to make you feel bad about your little babies. And so
that's probably the biggest piece of the pie.
It's a big part.
It's hard.
It's hard because you think you get rejected.
Those are your babies.
As a songwriter. Yeah. You think you get rejected as a songwriter a lot. Try being a song plugger.
Yeah.
Because they're getting rejected. If they're doing their job, they're getting rejected a lot every day.
That's right. That's a good point.
So, how many times are you pitching your songs? So, anyway, but it's hard, and some of that stuff, is legitimate concerns for people, but it's still worth it in the end to do your own pitching. So we'll start diving into the 10 benefits here. So number one, this is, speaking for myself, my odds improve. Okay. It's hard to get cuts, right? So I want all hands on deck, battle stations. This is not easy. Okay. Simply put, the more songs of mine that are getting pitched, the better chance that the right song is going to hit the right ears at the right time. It's math. Knock, knock. Who's there? Math.
It's math. Yeah. Right. So like in your situation, who are the 3 pitchers at Major Bob? Again, what were their names?
Bob, it was Scott Sherrod, Mike Doyle, and Jesse Frazier.
So here's the math. He's got 3 guys out there working hard to pitch his songs. Mm-hmm. He becomes a 4th guy. Mm-hmm. Going to work even harder because they're only his songs that he's pitching. So even if he works the same amount of time as those 3 guys that are working hard for the publishing company, pitching all the writers' songs, he's going to be working the same amount of time pitching just his own songs. And do you see how that works out? Mm-hmm. And guess what? If you add a 4th to a triad, that's a 33% increase in reach.
That's a good increase, right? Yeah, and
that's huge.
Yeah, and just an example of this is. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago about the Joe Nichols cut I had with a song called Crickets. And so as we talked about in that episode, which you should go download, my publisher didn't really know what to do with it at the time. They just didn't really believe in the song, to be honest. And my other 2 co-writers didn't have publishers. They didn't have song pluggers. So it was really us out there beating the streets, working the song. After we did the guitar vocal, maybe my pluggers pitched it some, but I kind of doubt it, considering they didn't really want to demo it. And so it ended up being a phone call that I made and an email that I sent that ended up getting it to the right hands that got it cut. So if I'd been sitting back, okay, well, my job is just to write songs. It's not my job to do any plugging. I wouldn't have a Joe Nichols, hanging up, smiling at me.
With an album title.
Exactly. So cuts are hard to come by. Everyone is precious. And I'm very thankful for that one. And it wasn't a single, but it didn't matter. They all matter. And so, if I'd been sitting back up, we wouldn't have gotten that cut. So, and next time it might be another, one of my co-writers that's making the difference and not me. They're the one that may make that phone call. So, yeah, just the more hands you have on deck, the more people you have throwing darts, the better chance you have at hitting that bullseye.
So I'm gonna add something to that too. My whole life, in less than 60 seconds, I've had a couple of jobs in my life that I really sort of detested for a short amount of time because I could never really hang out there. But for the most of my life, I've been blessed, and I've gone through different parts of business and in the music industry as an artist, blah blah blah. But I was doing something that I really loved to do, and I was really interested in, and I was really passionate about. And that's my point. Passion. When you're pitching your own stuff, who's going to be more passionate about that song than you? And that passion comes with, guess what? The probability of rejection. Not the probability. It's as sure as death and taxes.
Right.
You're going to get rejected, and you're going to have to let that. Okay, it wasn't a right fit. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. And just know that you got a good song, right? But the passion, I've gotten so far in my life on sheer passion. Like, people like me because of the passion, because they're like, this guy really likes this product. This guy really, listen to the way he talks on stage about his band, about his love for playing music. I mean, I love hanging out with this guy because, think about it. When you're around people that are passionate about something, you just feel good about yourself,
Inspired people inspire me.
Exactly. And so when you're the inspired person, there's nobody that's going to have a better chance of inspiring the person whose opinion that you're trying to influence than you. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
So that's 1 out of 10. I can tell it's going to be a 2-parter. So,
yeah, all right.
which is cool. More value, right? So, number 2, my back catalog stays active. Okay, so going back to the Major Bob example, I was there for 3 years. Contractually, everything I wrote during my time there stayed there. They owned it, and my share of it. And so it's still in the Major Bob catalog. So when I left that publishing deal, those songs stayed. Now, it's natural for song pluggers to kind of put your songs, the old songs, on the back burner because they have writers that are,
getting more in their face, getting more attention
in the office every day,
on the radar screen,
turning in new songs, new demo sessions that have that new song smell. The new babies. And so it's easy. Yeah, that new demo smell. And so it's just easy for the old songs, if you're not in their face every day, to start that they've already pitched some or never got around to pitching much, to kind of get put on the back burner and forgotten about. So pitching my own songs helps keep my old songs in circulation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's an important thing. And if you're not going to do that, at least, I try to make it a habit when, pitch sheets come out and I think of good pitches for some of my back catalog songs, email the pluggers at the publishing companies, where those songs are, and go, hey, here's a song in your catalog. Just want to give you a heads up on it. I'll attach the MP3 and the lyrics so you don't have to look it up and make it easy for you. Trying to help you with your job. I think this is a good pitch for so-and-so. Thanks. Because for one thing, pluggers come and go, Yeah.
And you could have a champion with a plugger who really believes in you, who really loves you. And when he goes to another gig, because he moves up in the world, now you don't have a champion anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you're not at the publishing company anymore,
yeah, exactly.
To make a new champion,
your songs can totally
two-time problems.
Yeah, your songs can really get kind of in the dustbin, just because the new plugger comes in. What are they going to start with? They're going to start learning the catalog of the people that are there right now, their current writers, the new stuff that came in. They'll work their way back. So,
hey, quick question: is there a reversion clause on those contracts? Is that something you can talk about?
Yeah, sure. Everything's negotiable. Usually, the reversion probably happens on stuff that you bring into the deal that you wrote beforehand. It's called Schedule A stuff. Okay. So you have your agreement. These Schedule A songs are songs I wrote before, that aren't attached to a publisher.
Right. And in reversion, if they don't perform on them in 18 months or 24 months, then all the rights revert back to you, whatever the time.
After the deal, after the publishing deal is over, if they haven't got those songs cut, then after a certain amount of time, after your deal ends, you can get those back. But everything depends on what you negotiate. But usually the songs that are written during the term of your agreement, if your deal starts January 1st of 2016, ends just say a year later, January 1st of 2017, everything you wrote in 2016 usually stays there because they fronted you money, because they've you advanced and everything. So if you take all those songs back, then what do they have left to get as a way to get their money back?
To recoup.
So that's fair.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but everything's negotiable, whatever you can negotiate. So yeah, you want to keep your back catalog active because those pluggers come and go. They just, it's a shiny object, whatever's shining in front of them, they tend to think about more, and it's your job to keep your songs in circulation because some songs just take a long time to get cut.
Yep.
So.
You know that?
Yes, I do. All right. So number 3, I hear my songs more honestly. All right. So this is a long game kind of prospect on number 3. So, you're sitting across the desk from a producer or an A&R rep, and you're playing the song, and there's that one little thing either in the demo or in the writing of the song that you're like, in the room, you're like, oh, it's good enough. It's fine. Get that little voice in the back of your head that you kind of turn down and ignored. It gets a lot louder when you're sitting across the room from, George Strait's producer or somebody at Sony, all of a sudden, that little thing that you just kind of like, it's fine. It just feels a lot bigger to you. Even if the other person doesn't notice it, it's a lot bigger. You listen differently. I've noticed that it's the same thing with, when you're looking for a publishing deal for your first deal and you're playing your songs for a publisher, trying to get them to notice you. I noticed that then when I was in that stage, those little things that kind of glossed over sound a lot bigger to you when you're sitting across from somebody. And so, over time, this kind of listening kind of makes my flaw detector more sensitive when I'm writing. Because you start learning, I don't want to have that feeling again. In front of an A&R person, in front of a producer, in front of a publisher, whoever. No. This little voice in the back of my head, I'm going to listen to it because it's going to get louder after we've spent $800 on it and I'm sitting across the desk from somebody. Let's get it right now.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you're in there, get it right. My dad used to say, why is there always time to do it right the second time, but there's never time to do it right the first time? And that usually was followed by his, size 10.5 up my keister, kicking me back out into the yard to do whatever I didn't do right the first time.
Yeah.
It's a Marine boot, by the way. It's got an extra oomph attached to it. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so you hear your songs more honestly, and another good reason, by the way, to really pony up and get some professional stuff done. Because if you're with somebody that's good, that's producing a demo for you, they're going to catch some of that stuff for you too. Especially if you're newer, they're not going to let you go over that stuff. And in your case, I bet you guys are probably just producing your own because you've been doing it for a while. And
if you the stuff you did during the publishing deal. Like Scott would be in there producing it because he's produced records. And
there's a level of professionalism that's higher above somebody who's going to be a little green coming in. Everybody starts out green, nothing wrong with that, but you got to get in there and learn from somebody who knows what they're doing. So you don't have those clams as much as possible.
Right. And plus, if this is during a publishing deal, you got your team that you run it through usually. So we'd all sit down and we talk about what songs we're going on the next session. We beat them up, see if there are tweaks, if we love this, but there's just one thing here, and try to get it where, especially the pluggers, are as fired up about it as possible because they want stuff they can believe in. Like you're talking about the passion. They want to be passionate about these songs. They don't want to be, same thing with them. If that little second verse thing never got fixed, it kind of bugs them, they're a lot less likely to take it in because they probably have another song they don't have a little irk about. So,
yep. That's right.
So you want to fix it then, but you hear it more honestly. So
you're not talking about a recording thing. You're talking about a writing thing.
I'm talking about a writing thing.
You're talking about a writing. I'm thinking recording thing because, of course, I'm thinking like a producer. But you're thinking about a writing thing.
Yeah, but it's true, too, with the recording stuff, is that you're going to be more careful on your demos, too. Because same stuff. If it's a sonic flaw or a little thing that's weird, it's going to get a lot louder, a lot.
But more importantly, just for my sake, so writing, there's a line you didn't like, there's a line you knew you could have done better,
a little bit better,
and that was what's driving you crazy.
But you're like, it's fine, it's good.
I get what you're saying.
Then you get in there, I just want to make sure, and you're like, this needed to be airtight, and it's not. Yeah. So but same principle though with production. So so far we had first one, your odds improve. Second one, your back catalog will stay more active and not just sit there and atrophy and get dusty. Number 3, you hear your songs more honestly. And number 4, you demo songs more wisely. All right. So the experience and the feedback I get from pitching my songs helps me demo only my best chance songs. All right, because my flaw detector, as we talked about, it's more sensitive to writing mistakes or errors, things that could just be stronger. And I start asking myself the important questions like, okay, no, really, do I ever really pitch this type of song? You know, does this type of song ever get kept when I pitch it, or does it ever get cut? Because a lot of times, you know, if you just are hands off and go, well, I'll let my song pluggers, you know, go out and plug it, then you don't really know, unless you're keeping a close eye on it, what all is getting pitched, what's not. You may get a pitch, you know, report. You can ask for that, go in the system, maybe take a look at their pitch log, see what's been getting out there. But it's different when you're the one sitting across the desk from the person. You really know what songs you end up, you know, because before every session you go in and you go through your song list and you're picking out your pitches, you know, your handful of songs you're going to take in there. These are my best bets. And over time you start figuring out, you know what, I never do pitch type song type X. It just never makes it onto my session, onto my comp. When I take it in, this type of song just never does. Or you also start figuring out over time, you know what, this type of song B just never gets kept. I dig these type of songs, but no one ever keeps a copy of it. So when you become much more, you know, in tune with that sort of thing, then you're more likely to think about that before you even demo the song. You know?
So are you saying that you kind of, through pitching yourself and through going through that mortal hand-to-hand combat, you really start to get a feel for the market? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
like, you know what? Like, there's this song here that's pretty good, but I would never pitch it because it's not one of my favorites. But this song's got a better chance than my favorites just because of the type of song that it is.
Yeah, you're in there taking the abuse. You're not getting feedback that's secondhand from your song plugger, if you get any feedback at all. You know, you're in there, and it really makes more of an impression on you. Like, really, what are they reacting to? Were they smiling at? Were they not smiling at? Were they passing on all the time, even though I keep taking it in? Okay, well, if they're not taking that one, maybe I shouldn't spend this $800, $900 to demo this other thing that's real similar.
It's kind of like that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't like this, why would I want to do that? And also, yeah, and you start getting a lot more honest about, okay, is this song really going to replace one of the current ones I'm pitching? Like, is it going to knock something out of my other pitching rotation?
Right.
You know, am I excited about playing this song for so-and-so? You know, am I really going to take this song to Chris Lacey at Warner Brothers? Am I excited about that? Or am I going to take this to, over to Brian Wright at Universal or whatever? Do I have somebody that I'm really excited about playing this for, or an artist or a producer I'm excited about playing it for? It makes you start thinking about it in much more real world terms, because you're actually going out there and doing it. You're not just I think my pluggers would dig this. It'll go in the stack of stuff that they're going to pitch. You really think, okay, really, am I going to go pitch this? Is this really going to make my list, my short list, or not? Yeah. Or is it just a good song? You know, because you've been through it. You've been through those sessions yourself, going through and going, no, I'm not going to pitch that one. I'm not going to pitch that one, to get down to your 3, 4, 5 songs you're going to take in. You do that enough times, you're not as excited about pitching a song that you kind of know is not going to crack their starting lineup.
And you know what else too? I mean, here's another aspect, another moon orbiting around that same planet. Is there certain people that you're pitching to that you learn what their taste is, what they like and what they don't like? Yeah. I mean, sometimes you'd like to think that they're looking for the best song for their artist, but they got their own damn personal opinion too. Right. And they're like, I feel like, Tim would be better with this song, and here's why. And so you start to realize this dude hates these kind of songs. Yeah. And you start to realize and understand the personalities behind that. And when you think of who you're going to pitch it to, okay, I'm going to pitch it to these 5 or 6 people. I know, you know what? I'm not going to spend that $800 here. I'm going to spend it over here. Right. And that could be the difference between your first cut and no cut. That's deep, right? There's so many layers to that onion. Yeah. I mean, that is huge information right there.
Yeah. So it just saves you money, right? So look at that. You already got back the complete cost of this free podcast. Just in number 4 right there. Look at that. You are so ahead right now. You have no idea.
Free value bomb.
You're welcome. You just splattered value bomb all over. All right. Well, number 5. nobody knows my catalog better than I do. All right. I'm the one that wears out work tapes, wears out demos, listening through my catalog again and again and again on the drive home when I'm, need to feel like I'm not a real songwriter. Let me put in some of my good songs. Okay, no, I've written good songs before. Yeah, how many times do you listen to your own stuff? A ton, right? So a song may sit around for years before the right pitch opportunity comes along. We're talking about those back catalog songs. A song plugger probably won't remember it if it's not in the regular pitching rotation, right? If it's not the starting lineup, it's easy to forget about it when an opportunity comes up for Billy Currington. He's doing this thing, and I got one of those things, but it doesn't matter if my plugger doesn't remember that and go, oh, I'm going to go grab that thing at Brent's and go play it for Billy. But there's
not top of mind.
It's not top of mind. Exactly.
Top of mind is going to be the most correct stuff.
What's in the closest drawer, right? But I might remember that one because I know my stuff, right? I know my catalog. I stay current with what I've written. So, and I have an example of this, of when this worked out. A while back, I heard that Ray Stevens, comedy legend, National Songwriting Hall of Fame.
Streaker.
The Streak, right.
The Streak.
Revival. It's me again, Margaret. Are you naked? Yeah, that one. And so I heard he was doing a political comedy record, right? And so I dusted off this old song that had actually come back from Major Bob. It went into Major Bob on a Schedule A. It came out on a reversion without ever being pitched. All right. I wrote this with a buddy of mine, Tim Meitzen, back home in Arkansas for, an independent record he did. And it was just not, we never pitched it. It was just not the type of thing we're going to pitch on the row. It was called Flyover Country. But then when I heard Ray was doing this thing, I was like, aha, Flyover Country. I think we got a good shot with Ray. I pitched it. I pitched that song one time, and he cut it. Even if that song had still been at Major Bob, there's no way they'd have pulled that sucker out for him because it's a title on the list, and it's a title they've never pitched before. The only reason I had a demo was because we cut it on Tim's record back in Arkansas, before we moved here, I think, and or recently after I moved here, and so we had a good version of it. So it was like Sniper, one shot, one cut,
Oh.
And so that's the thing. I knew that song. Nobody else in town knew about that song. Tim had already moved back to Arkansas,
Yeah.
There were no pluggers attached, and even if they had, there's no way they'd remember it. So, and you probably have songs like that too, dear listener. Those songs that if it came up, you're like, oh, that one. I got one of those that nobody else is going to think of. So it's a good thing I was doing some of my own pitching.
Yeah, and when you get into the game and you're developing relationships with producers and stuff like that, and you get a call for an outside cut, hey, we got this artist doing this or that or this. You're like, oh, dude, I got this. Yeah. I know the artist. Like, I got it.
Yeah, I've been sitting on this for 5 years.
That's right. You're going to connect those dots better than anybody else working for you.
Yeah.
They're just not going to. They can be the best people in the world, but just think of the volume. Knock on the door. What's that knock again? It's math.
Right.
They've got God knows how many writers.
Yeah.
With Lord knows how many songs, and you've got your catalog, and so nobody's going to like you better than you. And there it is. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So it's a numbers game because not only, and we'll talk about this more on the next episode, but yeah, they just have so many songs.
Yeah.
To read through and look through, and all I have are mine.
It's a big job, and there's a ton of really good, appropriate songs that could have gotten cut that slip through the cracks every single day.
Yep.
So, get used to that and figure it out, and figure it out. So, but that's not all you've got, these first half of these 10 value bombs. We've got something else happening, too, that you're giving away, right?
Yeah. I have a book called Think Like a Pro Songwriter, and it's a free ebook. It's a free download. You can find it at giftfrombrent.com. We're doing a lot of stuff about, pitching your own songs, and this book covers some of that, but it also covers 10 ways to get on a publisher's radar. 10 ways to get to a music publisher. So if you're not ready as much for the pitching your own songs, you just want to find a publisher, you can get some information in there. It also has information if you are ready to start pitching your own songs. There's a section in there about how pro songwriters know who's looking for songs. All right, so good accompaniment for this on either side of it, whether you're looking for the publisher or you're looking for the artist now and places to go pitch your own songs, giftfrombrent.com. Think like a pro songwriter, and that'll hook you up.
There you go. You can't get any better than that, people. That brings us to the end of another valuable episode of The Climb. Please subscribe. By the way, if there are previous we got a lot of previous episodes now.
Yeah.
I think this is episode 21. So
we're legal.
That's right. We're legal now. We can drink. If you're wanting to read those other ones or listen to those other ones, subscribe and you'll have access to them all. Or go to theclimbshow.com. And by the way, if you subscribe, then you get the song immediately when it uploads into iTunes. Sometimes iTunes takes like 24 or 36 hours to approve it, and sometimes it happens like in seconds. I don't know why, but when you're subscribed, you get instant access to it. So when you wake up Tuesday morning, it'll be right there.
Right there waiting on
for your driving to work.
There you go.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for another episode, for hanging out for another episode of The Climb. We hope we want you to keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.